more background on this 68 Dodge Charger. My dad bought it around 1983. We lived in Pico Rivera, California at the time. 1986, we moved out here to Riverside County, to Paris, California. And I want to say somewhere in the mid-90s, there was a big field fire that came through the area, burned, I don't know if it's hundreds or thousands of acres, but it's a lot. If you know the area, it's kind of deserty. In the summertime, everything gets really dried out and is extremely flammable. So anyway, this field fire came through our property and we lost a bunch of cars. I think at the time it was my dad's car. We did some horse trading, but it was a 70 Barracuda. It was just a 318 car. I talked about this car on Talking Mopars. I paid $60 for it. We lost a 69 Plymouth Fury 3. It had a 440 Super Commando in it. It was a police package car, had a spotlight on the A-pillar on the driver's side, big whip antenna on the quarter panel. I remember big fuse boxes on the firewall, and it had two Motorola radios inside the car. The car was, I believe it was B3. It was a civil defense car, and it was a cool car. My dad bought it from a co-worker. He worked for LAPD as a mechanic, so he worked on the police cars and stuff. And I think he got it from another mechanic that was there. And that guy got it from, I don't know, it must have been auctioned off after the car had, gone through its service life. Anyways, very cool car. That car got burned in the fire. We lost, I was storing a friend's 72 Dodge Charger, and that car was next to the Fury, and it got burned in the fire. We had a Monte Carlo. I thought it was a 69. Somebody else saw it and they thought it was a 70. I don't really know them apart. Not a big GM guy, so it was either a 69 or 70 Monte Carlo. And we lost a 72 Chevelle in the fire. By the way, I'm a hardcore Mopar guy, but my dad's kind of into everything. So the Chevys were his. The Chevelle actually was my very first car, and I think I paid like $25 for it, buying it from somebody in the neighborhood at the time. So I think it was a pretty good price, and I didn't have any money. I was like 14 years old or something like that when I bought that. Drug it home, and I can't remember if it was the Barracuda or it was my 68 Charger. I think it was my 68, because I think the 68 was the first Mopar I drug home. Told my dad I'm buying this car and bringing it home, and he was, he was being a dad, and I want to go look at it, make sure it's a good buy. And it's like, I scored it for, I sealed the deal for $100. It was like, in my whole life, all I wanted was a second gen Charger. So when I bought the Charger, I was, I think I was 16 or so, 16. Yeah, I was probably 15 or 16. I think it was 16. I think I was sophomore or junior. Let's say it was a junior. Anyway, he was like, kind of, I don't know, you already have a car, meaning the Chevelle. And I said, I'll let you have the Chevelle, you can have it, just let me bring home the Charger. And he was like, oh, okay. So I didn't care. $25 to bring home a Charger, let go of the Chevelle, I was happy. So, but anyway, all those cars went up in the fire. This car was really close to getting burned. It was a little bit farther away from the other cars, but the flames, the grass, the dry grass burned, and the flames got all the way up to the car. I can remember my parents calling me and letting me know that there was a fire, and I came running home from work. I rode a street bike at the time, and where they blocked off the street, like they wouldn't let anybody go up the dirt road where the house was because of the fire, and they evacuated the area, so everybody was pushed to where the paved street was. And where that was, you could see my parents' property. You could see the house, and you could kind of see the slope on the backside of the property where all the cars were. And I could see the fire coming through, and I remember, because right next to their house was sort of like the dirt driveway, then the fence line, and that property was full of weeds and tumbleweeds and whatever. So the flames were just burning through there, and I can remember seeing the flames just like licking the house. I mean, they were touching the house, but luckily the house never, it was a mobile home, never caught fire. But I could see the flames go down around the bottom of the property. I couldn't see the cars from that distance, but I knew they were there, and I knew the flames were hitting there. And I was just, just praying that this car, out of all those cars, this car did not get burned. This car meant a lot to me, and I always hoped that I would own it, someday, getting it from my dad, inheriting it, or he'd give it to me, or I'd buy it from him. I ended up buying it from him. Anyways, when we got down there, you could see, all the ground burned, the cars are burned, and the flames had come all the way up next to the car, and it actually left some char on the car, which washed off, but that's how close it got, and that's how close this car came to just burning to the ground. So unfortunately, we lost, some really cool cars. The Barracuda was a cool car. I wanted to Pro Street that car someday. That's a different story. I traded that car, it was my dad's at the time when it burned, and I had owned it, but I traded it to my dad for a 69 Charger, 444 speed RT car. Had a bent frame rail, so I ended up selling it years later. But and then we lost the Plymouth Fury, which was a super cool car. I wish we had that car today. And then my friend's 72 Charger, really cool car. Everything else I could have lived with, but those three hurt pretty bad. Anyways, that's the story. I'm going to be putting pictures in here. You'll probably already see them popping up of the cars. And I had recorded a video like going over the list, but like everything is so fluid and dynamic. Some things have kind of changed. So I kind of started making this video talking about a 440 from that Plymouth Fury I've already had it rebuilt. It's ready to go in a car. And I was thinking of dropping it in this car to save on the cost. But a buddy of mine who's got a 71, I think it's 70 or 71 Plymouth Duster. He's got a 440 in it. He's offered to sell it to me before, and he got sidetracked building an engine for another car. I think that engine was going to go in the Duster, but he got this other car from another friend. Anyways, he's talking about selling the engine again, and it's for a pretty good price. So I think I'm going to end up buying that motor and putting that motor in this car instead. So anyway, enjoy the pictures. It's a small story, but kind of an interesting one. A little background on this car, and well, yeah, we'll see where this whole thing goes.